Hello, my name is Maria Fernanda, and I'm the host of IOScholarships Superheroes Podcast.
Easy, easy, so easy.
This podcast is only a 10-minute podcast that highlights the best kept secret of IO scholars, job recruiters, and community influencers. And most importantly, we want to provide you financial resources to go to college debt-free and become financially savvy. I have the pleasure to introduce today Jose Cruz. Jose is a first-generation student from Miami and the son of immigrant parents studying computer engineering at Boston University. Everything he builds starts with one idea, and he turned the opportunities he finds into opening doors for other people. Through Cruzing Forward, he shares scholarship, internship opportunities, and he's also building a free bilingual space for first-generation students figuring it all out on their own. And he will be part of our upcoming IOScholarships STEM Career Summit at the Miami Beach Convention Center on August 29. We are so excited to have you with us today, Jose.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well, Jose, tell us a little bit more. First of all, when we met you at Emerge conference with Rebecca, it caught our attention, your passion for helping other students in STEM. So tell me a little bit more about when did you realize that actually tech was something you could see yourself doing as a career?
Well, honestly, I didn't grow up, of course, being an engineer. None of my parents were an engineer or even, in the space of tech. So growing up in Miami, being the son of immigrant parents, ever since I was a kid, I was mainly obsessed with, how things worked, especially in the technology space. Spending many times, looking at TV or playing with my tablet. But I wanted to really understand, what were the things that were going inside of those things of in tech. So asking too many questions, and the one who needed to know why everything worked. So for a long time, I didn't even have that name for that curiosity. I just knew I just couldn't turn it off initially. So what really first hooked me was solving math problems and the logic of solving problems. Once I started competing in programming and did some competitions in mathematics, it was something that, of course, was addicting and something that I just refused. I couldn't give up until I knew how to crack it or knew how to solve it. And then came, of course, in university, that's when I learned a little bit about computer engineering, which was where finally it all came together because I could build something real and not just solve problems on paper. It's something that, of course, impacted the people around me, and especially solving problems that were tech related, but also could solve a real human need. So, of course, by turning something that was more on paper to something that I can finally touch and something tangible, it was that point of sort of realization that really I could create tools that could actually help people, not just impress projects that lived in a folder somewhere. That I think that moment of curiosity was the biggest impact of sort of my career and my life, because it's things that I loved, and it's basically I used it to open a lot of doors for people who looked like me, and that's when I knew it wasn't just like a major but my path towards my professional career.
Well, your background is very impressive, but also your passion to help others. And as you said, with engineers, they have that passion of solving problems. And I love that also you have a mission to not only solve problems, but do a very good community impact for underserved students in your field. So what is the moment that you are especially proud of, because you came so far?
I think that my biggest moment that I've been proud of is just being able to realize that, of course, my path is not linear, and probably, a lot of people that I've met, their path has not been linear. So I think it's just the aspect of being able to carry just my entire personality, who I can be, where I'm going. And it's not something that I'm able to carry with guilt anymore, because I think that for a lot of immigrants, it's you start to, as you progress through your professional career, you start to realize, oh, do I really deserve this? Am I really supposed to be in this space? But for me, it's something that I think that once I realized that, hey, I'm allowed to take up room, I'm allowed to speak my own voice, I'm allowed to grow on my own opinions, and possibly people see the excellence in that. It's something that I started to carrying with my own purpose, because again, being first gen means I learned the rules of the game late a lot of the time, or I learned them by tripping over them. And so once I finally understood how, of course, the world worked, I decided that I wasn't going to keep it to myself anymore. Highlighting, of course, my background isn't something about my attention. So it's about the next kid who looks like me, who know it's possible, and who possibly thinks that that they can also make it. And so they don't have to, of course, trip over the same rocks as I did, because it's all about uplifting people. So that's the sort of like the spark that keeps me moving every day.
Visit IOScholarships, as we have access to thousands of STEM scholarships based on your unique ethnic background, waiting for you today. Some of them only require 2.5 GPA and no essay. Remember, the more you apply, the more chances you have to win. Apply today. Wow, Jose, and what I like about your background is that you said that nothing is a linear process. So you figure it out, you're flexible, you're curious, you want to solve problems, and you want to help other people. What the best way to make an impact on somebody else's life that, as you said, look like you, and si se puede, as you know, we have to uplift each other. So that's a very big accomplishment. But you're very young, so what piece of advice you wish someone had given you as a freshman?
I think that one of the biggest challenges that I encountered was people telling me that, of course, since because of your age, because of being a freshman, you're not allowed to get opportunities, or opportunities don't come that easily. And well, again, that's true. Doesn't mean that there are not opportunities for young people. As we see, there's many organizations that are on the rise, of being their mission to help people that are young or just starting out, because again, one of my favorite lines is that talent doesn't have to wait for junior year. Many people who want to get opportunities, who want to get internships, fellowships, all these sort of like opportunities, even scholarships, they can start early, and of course the more earlier the better. And it's not just about always getting that opportunity, but even sometimes just about getting the practice of knowing how an application looks, how to curate your own voice. And for me, again, one of the things I wish people would have told me is that it's never too late to apply to things, or it's never too early to apply to things, because again, from both ends, you can be someone who's, again, an 18-year-old just starting out college, but of course you're starting out fresh, nobody knows you, but that's sort of like, again, also superpower, because that means that you can, again, be tangible and versatile with a lot of things, explore different opportunities, because again, you are your own person, and you're starting your professional career. So again, that's something that I also try to tell a lot of freshmen who are starting now, is that opportunities exist, but where to find them is sort of like the real challenge. But once you found them, is again, all about always having that access to apply to things, and just show up, because again, the community gets built by showing up. So it's something that, of course, I've promised to people on the other side, or people who are just starting now, and it's something, of course, that I'm always been glad of.
Well, I can see a lot of superpowers in you, on resilience, perseverance. What will you say is your top superpower, especially when applying for scholarships, because you launched the Cruzing Forward Scholarship and received hundreds of applications? So what do you think is a superpower of a scholarship winner?
I think that, especially now that I've been on both ends, I think that from the end of being the person who's applying, and of course, being a scholarship recipient, is that I think that that belief that, again, someone else believes in you and believes in your story. Because again, when you're applying, you're basically thinking all these thoughts of like, I hope I get it. But once you get it, I think that that's sort of like the turning point for even a lot of students, because they're able to see that, hey, it's not about just myself, but of course now other people are starting to see that belief in me, in my story, and the impact. And again, in an essay that, again, you don't even have to know the person to realize that, hey, this person's story holds both power and pain. So I think that for me, that's something that I carried through my own scholarship. I wanted to find someone who, again, resembled all the characteristics, that I've embodied through my life, the person who I'm becoming. And I think, again, opening up the Cruzing Forward scholarship, it was more than 300 applications, and just reading through every application, it was very hard to choose someone. But again, just from seeing the stories that people take, again, there's more people that are living through challenges that are even harder than what I went through. Just shows that there's more advocacy, more awareness, more sort of like talent out there that is just unrecognized. And I think for that, as being anybody who becomes a scholarship winner, I think that, again, there's so much belief in not just yourself, but again, that's when people start to see that, hey, this kid or this person really sort of like has something to show. And it's not, again, nothing that can be shown on paper, but a belief that that person will become someone in the future.